Hey y'all, it's Alison Owen, and we're here with Uncharted Alabama, our new podcast where we are exploring the uncharted parts of the group Alabama's music, stories, everything that you can possibly imagine. And I'm here today, I'm so excited, with a fellow Alabamian. Anytime that I can talk to somebody else that's from Alabama, we just kind of have an understanding, just without having to say a whole lot. So I have Billy Droze with me here today on this episode. I'm so excited, and we're going to get right into it today if y'all are ready. Let's go.
Great. I'm so excited to be here. This is, I'm just happy that I'm important enough to get to sit with you and talk. This is great. God.
You're definitely important enough. Listen, you, like I said, you're not just a talented songwriter, musician, singer. Listening to you sing, I'm just like, yes. I think that's the word. It's just like, yes.
Oh,
it's like,
thank you.
There aren't many people that do what you do vocally. I know you kind of can play and sing whatever, but more on the bluegrass side of things, obviously.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think that's an aspect to the group Alabama. Sometimes people think, oh, they're Southern rock, and
there were elements of that for sure.
Yeah, but there's so much with like the harmonies and then the fiddle and the acoustic, and with their music, it's almost like a bluegrass bass in some ways that they then kind of took to a rock level, if you want to say that. The important part, though, we're talking about Alabama, where we came from.
Yes.
We grew up in Alabama, in Fort Payne, our family. Misconception, a lot of times people think that we were, that we lived in Nashville and grew up in Nashville, but we didn't.
No.
And so that shaped us as a family. That shaped all three of us kids, my sister and brother and I.
You were talking about like y'all would actually play Boaz and stuff,
yes,
right? And
absolutely.
So there was just this, how do you put it? There was a respect around like Randy and Teddy, like when he would literally be in the stands at these games, and of course people would go up to him, but they knew enough to be like, you know what, let this kid enjoy let this guy enjoy his kids, and just growing up in that area, because you could throw a rock to Fort Payne. You'd have a heck of an arm to do that, but you could throw a rock over
close
Fort
enough,
Payne.
yeah.
And we just, I grew up in everybody having just a real big respect and understand, like, these guys, they're normal too, and so I would see him at the cattle, like your dad at the cattle auction when I was a kid, and my brother, I remember one time my dad was bidding on a cow, and your dad was like outbidding him, and I'm like, who's this guy? Because he must have like a lot more money than my dad. And my brother Robert goes, he's a superstar. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. But that was the kind of stuff, just everyday normal stuff growing up in that area. That was in Collinsville, or I can't remember where that, Kilpatrick.
Kilpatrick. I was just about to say, yep, on Sand Mountain. And that's the thing too that people don't really know. Well, the cattle people do, but my dad loves cattle as much as he loves the music, and it's something that, and Teddy does too. Actually,
they're hardcore about it. They're not messing around.
I think that's probably what's also helped. Neither one of them have left there, and also has kept them grounded. Yes, they come off the road, they go look at the cows and
back to their families, and
absolutely.
And that's something to just. That's so admirable, because I mean, so many musicians and bands and different people, they just get running so fast. But that was all that was their root. That was their grounding place back in Alabama. And I, for one, don't go back to Boaz much, but maybe I'll try Fort Payne.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Fort Payne has changed. Like, it's crazy how much it's changed since I was in school. I mean, that's been a few years, but yeah, the area's grown. But a lot of that, honestly, has come about with just sort of like, with the group Alabama and tourism, and people, this is where the group's from, and it's important to be proud of where you're from.
Oh,
it is important
100%.
For people, and sometimes people say, oh, well, this happened or that happened, but it's part of who you are, whether everything was perfect or not. Yeah. And so, like I said, Fort Payne, being grounded, knowing where you come from. Do you kind of remember the first time you sort of heard the music, the actual music, or what song it was?
Well, growing up there, I mean, it was so ingrained into that area. Like, I mean, everybody there was just so proud that something that big, and that, their legacy is huge, and something that big, and it had been going. I mean, when I was a kid coming up, they'd already been on top of the world for a while. And so for me, it's my home's in Alabama. I mean, and just songs like that. And then when you grow up and then get to work with those people, with your, Teddy and your dad, it's just, I remember it was maybe a year and a half ago or something. And I was going to do like a pitch meeting in Fort Payne. I can't remember the guy's name, and he was going to invest in a record or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, this is cool. And then Teddy walks in, and I had done a show when I was fronting the group Shenandoah.
Yes.
I had done a show where it was like Teddy, and then it was half of Shenandoah and half of Alabama, and I got to sing lead, and I was like, this is crazy.
What's happening
the only
here?
time
Exactly.
that ever happened. And then years later,
Yeah.
well, the guy that was coming to this investment meeting or whatever, he brings Teddy in, and I'm like, you would have thought he brought like a Beatle with him. And I was just shaking. That was the most nervous I'd ever been, only because I had grew up kind of looking at those guys, well, literal statues and stuff.
Yeah, the statues, yes, they are there. Yes.
To be intimidated, it was and Teddy wasn't easy. Teddy was just like, what else you got? And he made me sing like 10 songs. I'm like, what? Those are my best tunes.
Exactly.
So, but then we became good friends, and
Yeah.
it was just it's surreal to like get to grow up and actually professionally, work on a level, with Teddy and and hopefully one day hang out with your dad more. And
Absolutely.
he's super cool. I just
Absolutely. Like I said,
I think I would be really nervous.
Yeah. And do you know how they came to be called Alabama?
I wish I did.
I'm going to tell you the story real quick. They originally were Wild Country. That was sort of like early. And they called themselves Wild Country. But they started getting a following in the Bowery. Mm-hmm. And so people would come in and say, is that Alabama band playing tonight?
Oh.
And so they were just, it was like, well, we are from Alabama and we love our home state, and that's what we're, so it just kind of, I think it was like a God wink thing of just like,
Absolutely.
This is who you are. This is, Wild Country was just, you come up with a band name or whatever, but so that everybody, those Alabama boys coming to play tonight. So then they became Alabama.
I mean, it worked. It my gosh, did it ever work? But I go I don't go as far back as you do because he's not my dad.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. You're younger than I am. That's okay. Say it. What are some of the things that stand out to you? If you just
to me, it was just the melodies, and they were going in different directions than what was every day happening in Nashville at that time.
Right.
These chord structures are almost borrowed and lent from different genres, like rock and roll structures more than what a country song would do. Chord wise, and that was cool. And I think a lot of times the listener doesn't always get that because they just this is a cool song.
Yeah.
But then, as a musician or artist, you listen like, okay, that's what set them apart. That's why they were Alabama, And there was a lot of bands that came up behind them, and nobody's touching them. I mean, they're...
Well, I think some of it, too, with them sort of coming up and sort of groundbreaking in a way is, my dad said it before, like, they didn't know what they didn't know, right?
Yeah.
It was like, we're just going to be who we are. We're not trying to fit this mold or I mean, really, honestly, not even like sell records. Like selling records, it was just like, let's make the best music that we can make, right? Mm-hmm. And Feels So Right doesn't even have a bridge.
The songs,
but that's one of the things too. When he came to Nashville, and they're like, we like the song, but this is never going to work.
Yeah, but it worked.
And he's like, it doesn't have a bridge.
Somebody told me early on, they said in Nashville, you don't write bridges and you don't burn them. Exactly. So he knew that way back then.
See, there you go. See, another groundbreaking thing. Because, he did. He said, everybody's like, where's the bridge? Like, I don't have a bridge.
Yeah.
Like,
And that was when the bridges were popular.
That's when bridges, it was like you had to do it. And so even just from a little, just something like that, where it's just like, no, I believe in this song.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think lyrically, when you're talking, melody and even the instrumentation, and you don't really understand the depth that it adds to the music, you would as a musician, but fans... they're just like, I just love that song. Well, they love the lyrics and they love the melody, but then you've got this even more emotional aspect to it, like Lady Down on Love.
Yeah.
If you just sit, My Home's in Alabama, it's a rockin' get when it gets going, but it's got strings.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, just how it builds, and it's got this contrast from it starts like this, and then it, like, okay, yeah, this is why they're cool.
This is why they're cool, because like my dad said, it's like some of the stuff they do doesn't even make sense, right? But it works. It's like you put a whole bunch of stuff in a blender and then go, that's Alabama.
But it was also very assertive in a direction, in my opinion.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's like controlled chaos, I guess, maybe in a way, where it's like, this is this, and this doesn't have a bridge, and that. Jamie Johnson, I know he was saying one time he did a cover of My Home's in Alabama, and he was like, Well, I think it goes from like 126. Like he was talking about the beats per minute. He's like, it just changes the tempo. And my dad's like, well, that's the way we played it.
That's the way we did it.
So
Get on board.
You know, and it is, and I think it adds to it being almost like a roller coaster ride. It's like if you feel like it goes speeds up, then it slows down a little bit.
It's entertaining.
And you're like, okay, well that's Alabama. That's my home's in Alabama. So, but yeah. So what about too? You know, one of the things too with them is the harmony part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's something, you know, whether people realize it or not, like they literally worked on that. They would, at one point, they all lived in the same, like one room, slept in the same one area of this apartment.
Yeah.
My dad, Teddy, and Jeff. And they talk about it in some of the stuff that we've documented, that they would lay there awake at night, like late into the night. Jeff might have fallen asleep and my dad and Teddy would start singing and Jeff would like raise up and start in on his part. But like, I don't even know if that kind of stuff happens anymore. You know what I mean? It's just so organic, but they really worked on it. It wasn't manufactured. It was them doing it.
No, I mean, and to this day, like hanging out with Teddy and stuff, the dedication that man still has, and your dad as well. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we're from Alabama, so that stuff happens in Alabama, the bluegrass world and stuff like that. I mean, and that's where some of the best music comes from. It's a family thing too. So is Teddy more like an uncle to you, or I mean, he technically is your cousin, right?
I would say he is technically my cousin, but I would say it's kind of somewhere in between.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you know, every time I see him, you know, and he lives just down the road from where I grew up, like from my parents' house. But, you know, it's always a hug and always a hey and what you doing. And it's just, he calls me Allie most of the time when he sees me. And
he likes that coin shop, don't he?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
He gave my kids a buffalo nickel.
But see, that's the thing, too. It's having those hobbies outside that, like, quiet your mind and you get to be creative and in a different direction. And, but, yeah, no, it is. It's just neat growing up the way that I've grown up, and you know. Just
how do they treat them like we're just everyday people, like right around there
in Fort Payne? Yeah. I mean, everybody. You know, the thing is, a lot of us are cousins, or you know, like it's not everybody, but it's very. I feel like it's even come back around where people are even more appreciative.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like at the height of everything that they did. Excitement and all that, you know, and then it's like, oh, cool. And then I feel like it's kind of come back around to where they're. Did
it ever get weird with like people coming out from other places into Fort Payne trying to like get around? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine.
I would say yes, absolutely. Very extremely weird. Sometimes there were a few times that or more than a few, but
those weren't Fort Payne people.
Those were not Fort Payne people. They weren't Sand Mountain people either.
Good. It wasn't me.
Let's say most of them were not even Alabamians. They were, you know, but
like super fans just coming in trying to,
and most people are just very well meaning, and it's just love and just extreme, like, oh my goodness, like you said, like the Beatles or something. But you know, sometimes it gets a little bit crazy, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's you know, we all have things that we go through in life.
They signed up for that.
I was going to say, I am extremely grateful I did not grow up with social media during this time.
Me too.
Just everything that you do.
It's documented for everybody to see it.
Yeah. Pulling it back to the Alabama thing, it's even crazier to me thinking about how they were able to do the stuff that they were able to do.
Yeah.
No social media. It literally was word of mouth,
fans,
radio play. My mom and dad have notes that they would write to the DJs.
Yeah.
Before things started, and saying like, hey, "This is our new single. Would you please consider playing this?" And you know, no social media. It wasn't like, "Oh, I've got 500,000 followers."
Yeah.
It was just word of mouth and people kind of going crazy.
And from natural, raw, real talent and dedicated people doing it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, did you grow up playing in church and stuff too? Because my dad, that's what I mean. He and his mom and his dad and his sisters, you know, they go to a singing. That's what they call it. It was a singing, and they sang for weddings, funerals. They just go to church and sing. Most of the time,
at every Baptist church in Alabama.
And that's part of it too. I think is having that aspect to it. That's just a little bit different level of things. Absolutely. That's
what it's really about. Well, I like that they're open about, you know, their faith. And I really love that. And you see it right off, you know.
Absolutely. Well, and my dad said too, he said, you know, as much success as we've had in music, I think that us being able to have a platform where people would listen to us, you know, being whatever you want to call it, top of our game or famous or whatever, has led to them being able to do wonderful things like with St. Jude
Uh-huh.
and the June Jam. They did their own Hurricane Hugo concert benefit.
Really?
When Hurricane Hugo hit South Carolina.
Yeah.
And it was literally to benefit South Carolina. And that was, I think, 88. So I was like 10, but I was like, I don't even remember that. I didn't know that they did this.
Yeah.
My point is just being able to do great things, not only just playing music that connects with people.
You know how many people
and,
they must have reached, like with like Angels Among Us and stuff like that. That was like you asked me earlier.
and not being afraid to talk about angels
Yeah.
and music. Yeah, at that time it was not really.
You asked me earlier, and they've done so much that you don't. When you start thinking, it's like, oh wow, that was okay. That happened in the '90s. That happened in '94. Because I was at a like rec center somewhere, and that song came on. But when you hear a song like that, like it just marks that time period of your life, you know. And I remember thinking, whoa, that's. And then the video, and so that is insanely powerful. So
Absolutely, and like you said.
now, excuse my ignorance, but who wrote that song?
So Becky Hobbs,
Becky
Hobbs wrote that, and it actually was she was in almost in like a horrific car accident, and so then that it came to her, and again I know Dad, he's talked about it before, and I think and Teddy has too, but it was it was kind of. You really want to do a song? They were getting sort of backlash of, I don't know about doing a song where you're talking about angels, and they just again kind of followed their hearts.
Yeah, I'm glad they
said,
did. That's one of the. To me, it's one of the most iconic songs of all time, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and it literally.
Way to go, Becky! I love Becky.
Exactly.
By the way,
Becky. Oh, she is. I love Becky Hobbs. She is awesome.
Great artist in her own right.
Oh, great artist, and just such a sweetheart. I mean, she is just the sweetest. And
I forgot that she wrote that.
Yeah, Becky Hobbs.
She wrote it by herself.
I think she had I think there may have been a co-writer. I need to look that up.
I believe
but I know
is.
Becky is the. It was her experience that hit, and it was there is a co-writer in my. It escapes my mind right now.
We'll get back.
We'll find out. We'll get that. But that is a great example of something where you go from something rocking and crazy and all that, and then you go to something so heartfelt like Angels Among Us, and it's just I think just even more of a testament of just sort of why they have the connection that they do 50 plus years later. What do you think this far into a career and still selling out arenas and all this kind of stuff? Do you think?
I feel like they've done everything. What is more they can do?
I know. They even did a song for the Follow That Bird soundtrack, which was Sesame Street.
Really?
Back in the day, this was maybe like mid '80s.
Didn't they do something with NSYNC too?
Yeah, they did a song with NSYNC. I mean, they, again on the legacy part of it, like I said, the June Jam. Were you ever able to go to a June Jam?
I went last year.
Okay.
I didn't get to go.
For the concert. Okay, but they're still doing events and still doing things.
Forgive me too.
Even now. Yeah, exactly.
Call me up.
I want to come back. Thanks. So we do a really fun little golf event.
Yeah.
That I was mentioning. It's going to be June the 19th this year, and it's an Alabama themed golf tournament.
Oh, great!
So you come play. You do not have to be a good golfer.
I don't know. I've never played golf, but I would learn just to come over there and do that.
You don't even have to learn. Like you could just come if you have just somebody that just shows you where you tee off and putt and do that. But we're continuing legacy as kids by doing things like that.
Yes.
We
and
along with the fan appreciation events that they're going to have this year.
You said it like it'll circle around. There's going to be a whole new legion of fans that get wind of what this legacy was for the group or is still to this day.
There are so much music, not even just the like number one songs, but there's so much music out there that is just so different, and people forgot, or maybe they just listen to the hits, right?
And
maybe
that's a good thing about technology. Now they're going to get to rediscover it.
Absolutely,
so it's got its pros and cons with all the.
No, it is, and like some of my favorite songs were not singles. You're driving down the road. What song are you going to belt the top of your lungs? Is there a particular Alabama song that you're like, yes?
This is going to sound like a cop-out answer, but all of them.
Yes.
But see, I never
yes, exactly.
I never covered a lot of Alabama, and here's why.
Yeah.
Some things don't need to be covered.
Yeah.
Some things just you leave that to them.
Like, that's Alabama's song. Leave it as it is.
I'll sing it on the radio with them.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I was like, I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, you're like, nope.
But all day long, like the the melody on My Home's in Alabama
Yes,
is the one that
yes.
just floors me every time.
Yes.
Love that song. My
Yeah.
dad loved it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just...
Well, and you know,
And that was your dad and Teddy wrote that together.
absolutely.
That is,
Sitting in the, I think there's Benton's trailer park, and Rick Hall, you know
Yep.
Rick Hall, Muscle Shoals?
absolutely.
I remember Rick talking about that when he heard that for the first time, heard My Home's in Alabama, he was like, I haven't heard it put that way before.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's a lot coming from Rick Hall.
So I think that is my favorite. It has to.
Yeah, I agree.
I was talking with Teddy about songs I wanted to cut, and I mentioned that. He goes, "Oh, Jimmy Johnson already did it." I was like, "Okay, thanks, Jimmy."
You're like, all right, fine.
But I'm
yes.
from Alabama
Yeah,
too.
but I'm from Alabama, please. You know,
And Boaz
you can
is
sing
closer
whatever-
than for
exactly. You can say whatever you want to. If you want to do a cover of My Home's Alabama, do it.
I'm gonna.
Like, just do it. I mean, that's what it's for. You know, music's
Absolutely.
meant to be sung, sang, whatever.
Sang if
Sing
you're
it, sang
Fort
it.
Payne or Boaz.
From Alabama, we say sang it. So, Billy, one of the things that I think is so cool is that you kind of have the perspective, or not kind of, you have the perspective of being a solo artist,
Yes, ma'am.
but you also sang with Shenandoah. You sang lead with Shenandoah.
Yes, ma'am.
How many years did you do that?
See, I got to do it one tour,
Okay, yeah.
but then I got to stay out on the road opening for them and riding the bus with them for 6 years.
How cool.
And the tour I did, it was just 13 shows or so. I can't remember what it was, but it was so much fun because in my day, you know, Shenandoah was a little bit, you know, after Alabama. And so
right.
their legacy was also really huge. And so I was
yeah.
like, what am I doing out here?
yeah.
You know, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But what I learned, it's they're brothers out
Yeah,
there, you
yeah.
know, and to be in a band, and it's just not one, it's not just Randy, it's not
Yeah,
just Teddy, it's
no.
not just Marty or
It's
Mike.
collective,
It's
yeah.
all together, and that's
Yep.
how that sound creates that. I've heard
Yeah.
records of just Marty and Marty with Shenandoah. They're different dynamics.
Yep.
Not that one's better or worse,
Yeah.
but what I've learned, and then when I formed my own band, it's got to be a collective sound. You know, it can't just be. It's not all about one person. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but now I'm just doing solo stuff.
Yeah.
And put a brand new country record coming out at the end of March, and it's just stone cold country music, and I think that, you know, that's back on the rise in my opinion. And I ran a record label for years and I'm still doing that in my bluegrass label. We actually signed Zach Top to
I saw,
his first deal, and that was neat because I'll never forget. I was sitting in my studio, and he came and he goes, "Hey, I wanna go cut a country record, and would you let me go and kind of," because he was on our label.
Yeah.
I said, "Buddy, go
do your
and
thing,
as
man."
soon as I can, I'm gonna put one out right behind you." And so I'm ready. It's ready, and I'm ready to put it out.
Yeah.
But so excited that country music in that. That kind of country music is back. It's cool again, you know. Everything.
Absolutely.
It's like a pendulum. Everything comes back around. The way the world is right now, people expect perfection because, like, either AI and all this stuff.
Yes,
But I would
yes.
rather just hear somebody pouring his heart and soul or her heart and soul out on
Yes.
stage, and hey, mess up if you got to. That makes you human. We're human after all, you know. And music is supposed to just emote and evoke an emotion that makes you feel something. And if I can't make you feel something with my music, I just hang it up. you
Yeah.
know?
Being able to translate what you do and then, you know, on an album and then translate that into being able to perform
Yes, ma'am.
that's a totally different realm. So everybody that's out there listening, you need to not only listen to the music, but you need to go see and listen to the music. Go see Billy when he's out. Find his. So where are you? Give us your website. Give us your social.
www.billydroze.com and Billy Droze at Facebook, TikTok, and I try to stay really up on everything and talk to people and be just talk back and forth. And I'm not snooty. I'm all about meeting y'all and saying hello.
Because he's from Alabama.
Yeah.
If you were snooty from Alabama, I would question as to whether or not you're from Alabama.
I know a few.
Exactly. Are they transplants? I don't
they
know.
are.
I don't know. Exactly. I was going to say, I don't know. I don't know if they're from there or not. Or they might be from a different part of the state. I
Yeah.
don't know. Well, Billy, thank you so much.
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
this
Thank
has
you.
been, listen,
You're
this has been
awesome.
absolutely awesome. And we'll do it again. Well, I mean,
Yes.
I say we do it again. I think
Please do.
the most fun is just kind of, like we said, kind of exploring the uncharted road, and that's
it's
everything.
unscripted. It's my experience of what you're talking about, and that's beautiful, and vice versa, and whoever else you get on.
Well, that's it. It's what your story is and what it means to you, and it can mean similar to people, but it can also mean something totally
and
different.
To see how many people have different stories about this one iconic, beautiful band. That's I'm in. Thank you for letting me be here.
Absolutely. And so we're going to keep following you and everything that you're doing. I want to see that at My Home's in Alabama cover. I'm just going to tell you.
I'm going to go home and practice.
I think you just need to do it and just don't worry about it. And then I'll just be like,
Hashtag
hey,
Jamie Johnson.
Exactly. I'll be like, hey, Jamie, Billy's going to do it too. And he's going to put his own thing on it. So, but that's the thing. When you do it, you still have your own. There'll be something about it that's just uniquely you, and so that's the best part of it.
That's big shoes to fill, but I'll try it.
No, you got it. Well, all right. Well, we have traveled down the Uncharted Alabama road with Billy Droze. This is amazing. Thank you for being here. You guys go check him out. All right. Well, we are wrapping this one up, but you guys keep your eyes on the road and your heart in the music, and we'll see you on the next episode of Uncharted Alabama. See you next time.